Ladies and gentlemen, what people call magic is nothing more than the deliberate use of imagination. It is the hidden architect of all creation, the unseen force shaping the visible world. Those who understand this principle hold the master key to life, while those who ignore it drift, believing themselves to be at the mercy of fate. But fate is nothing more than the sum of one's most persistent thoughts and assumptions. Imagination is not mere daydreaming, nor is it an idle escape from reality. It is the workshop where the unseen becomes seen, where the intangible is given form. Everything that exists was first imagined. The clothes you wear, the home you live in, the device in your hands, all were once thoughts in the mind of a creator before they became reality. The greatest men and women in history, those who have shaped the course of civilization, were not bound by what their eyes could see. They looked beyond appearances and held firm to the unseen vision within. The average person walks through life believing only in what is already visible, never realizing that what is visible is merely the after effect of an earlier state of mind. They react to circumstances, believing them to be final, never questioning how they came to be. But those who understand the law know that imagination precedes experience. Change the inner state, and the outer world must follow. It has no choice, for it is merely a reflection. Every great inventor, artist, and visionary has tapped into this power, whether they knew it consciously or not. They saw what others could not see, and they persisted in their vision until the world was forced to conform. Some called them mad, others called them geniuses, but what they truly possessed was the ability to believe in the reality of their unseen assumption. To imagine is to create. And yet, so many use this power against themselves. They imagine failure, rejection, and limitation, and without realizing it, they bring these conditions to life. They dwell on fears, relive past disappointments, and entertain ideas of lack, all the while wondering why their circumstances never improve. But the law is exact. It does not discriminate between what is wanted and what is unwanted. It simply manifests what is most vividly and persistently imagined. If one truly grasps this, life is transformed. No longer do you wait for the world to change before you feel different. Instead, you change your inner state first, and the world shifts in response. The one who knows this does not complain about conditions, nor do they attempt to force external change through struggle. They simply assume the feeling of their desire already fulfilled, and with faith, they persist in that assumption. The test of imagination is simple. Can you believe in the reality of what you desire even before the senses confirm it? Can you hold to an inner vision so completely that it becomes more real to you than what your eyes presently see? This is the secret of creation. Those who can do this will see their desires externalized with mathematical precision, for reality is but a mirror reflecting the contents of mind. Most believe that effort and struggle are the means to success, but they are mistaken. The world of action is secondary. The true work happens within. Imagine vividly, assume fully, and persist without doubt, and what was once only an idea will be made manifest. It is said that the greatest illusion is that we are separate from our desires, that what we seek is far away, but distance is an illusion of the mind. The only separation between you and your desire is your belief that it is not yet yours. The moment you claim it as your own, it begins its journey toward you, so dare to imagine boldly. Do not ask if it is possible, assume that it is. Live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and watch as the world reshapes itself to match your inner state. This is the key, the forgotten law, hidden in plain sight. The world calls it magic, but you will know it for what it truly is. The law of consciousness in motion. There are laws that govern the universe, and they operate with absolute precision. The world moves by unseen principles, laws that never fail, never falter, and never change. One of these laws, forgotten by most, yet always at work, is that your inner world creates your outer world. It has been called fate, destiny, luck, but it is none of these. It is law as exact as gravity, as predictable as the rising sun. Those who understand it can shape their lives with intention, while those who ignore it are swept along, believing themselves powerless. Everything you see in your life today is the result of an earlier state of consciousness. The circumstances you face, the people you encounter, the successes or struggles you experience, They are all outpicturings of past thoughts, feelings, and assumptions. You may not remember the exact moment you first entertained these ideas, but the law does not require your conscious awareness to function. It simply reflects back to you the contents of your mind. This is why effort alone does not bring lasting success. A person may work tirelessly, push against obstacles, struggle to change their circumstances, yet find themselves repeating the same patterns. They move from one job to another, one relationship to the next, one city to another, believing that change must come from the outside. But external shifts are meaningless if the inner state remains the same. A person who believes in their own limitation will find proof of it wherever they go. A person who assumes life is difficult will always encounter hardship. The law does not fail, it merely reflects. The world you experience is nothing more than a mirror. If you wish to see a different reflection, you do not reach out to the mirror and try to force it to change. You change yourself, and the mirror responds accordingly. So it is with life. The outer world is a faithful reproduction of your inner state. It does not argue, it does not judge, it simply presents to you, in physical form, the thoughts and assumptions you hold most deeply. To the ordinary person, this sounds impossible. They believe their problems are caused by external forces, circumstances beyond their control, other people, chance, or luck. They point to their failures and say, "I had no choice." But the one who understands the law sees clearly. Nothing comes into one's life uninvited. The events of your life are drawn to you by the nature of your consciousness. Change your consciousness and your world must change. But how does one apply this? The first step is recognition. Observe your world with fresh eyes, not as something happening to you, but as a reflection of you. Ask yourself, what must I have been assuming to create this? What belief must I be holding for this to appear in my life? This question is the key to transformation. For once you recognize the cause, you are no longer bound by it. The next step is deliberate assumption. Knowing that your inner world determines your outer experience, you must begin to assume the feeling of the life you wish to live. You do not wait for proof. You create the proof by first embodying the state of being you desire. If you wish to experience abundance, you must first assume the feeling of abundance. If you wish for love, you must assume yourself already loved. The world will conform, not by force, not by struggle, but by the operation of law. This is where most fail. They allow their senses to dictate what they believe. If they see lack, they believe in lack. If they see difficulty, they assume difficulty. But the law requires you to persist in your assumption, even when the evidence contradicts it. The world lags behind consciousness. What you assume today will harden into fact tomorrow. You must walk by faith, not by sight, knowing that your inner state is the true cause, and the outer world is merely the effect. Doubt is the great enemy of creation. Many begin to apply this law but quickly abandon it when they do not see immediate results. They plant the seed, then dig it up to check if it is growing, but creation requires persistence. The one who holds firm to their assumption, regardless of appearances, will see their desire made real. The one who wavers, shifting between belief and doubt, will see only inconsistency. The law is exact. It gives to each according to their assumption. There is no mystery here, no magic, only principle. What you are conscious of being, you will become. What you accept as true, you will experience. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you. And the moment you take responsibility for this, you step into power. Most will never understand this. They will continue to believe in luck, chance, and external forces. But the one who dares to apply the law will see its truth in action. They will change their assumptions and watch as their world transforms. What once seemed like coincidence will reveal itself as law. What once seemed like fate will be seen as choice. The forgotten law has always been at work. It does not need your belief to function, but your belief determines what it will bring into your life. Choose wisely, for the world is merely a mirror, and it will reflect whatever you assume to be true. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are conscious of being. This is the great misunderstanding of those who struggle to change their lives. They desire wealth while remaining conscious of lack. They seek love while remaining conscious of loneliness. They hope for success while carrying within them the constant fear of failure. And so, despite all effort, they remain bound to the very conditions they wish to escape. Desire alone is not enough. Wishing, hoping, and wanting do nothing unless they are accompanied by the assumption that the desire is already fulfilled. This is the key most overlooked. It is not the strength of the desire that shapes reality, but the depth of belief that it is already accomplished. A man may long for riches, but if, deep within, he sees himself as poor, if he constantly worries about money, if he fears not having enough, then poverty must remain his experience. The law does not respond to his wishes, it responds to his state of being. Everything in life is drawn to you by the state you occupy. You do not need to chase after things, nor do you need to force conditions to change. Your only task is to align your consciousness with the reality you wish to experience. Assume that you already are the person you desire to be. Feel it with such conviction that the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. This is not mere positive thinking, nor is it idle daydreaming. It is a disciplined shift in awareness, a deliberate reconditioning of the mind. Feeling is the gateway. It is not enough to think of what you want. You must feel as though it is already yours. Thinking alone is weak and scattered, but feeling carries power. Every emotion you entertain is a creative act, a vibration that calls forth its likeness in the world. If you constantly feel unworthy, your experiences will reinforce that feeling. If you dwell in fear, circumstances will arise to justify that fear. But if you cultivate the feeling of already having what you desire, life will shape itself to match that inner conviction. This is why so many fail. They focus on the absence of their desire rather than its presence. A man who wants love often dwells on his loneliness. A woman who desires health may spend her days worrying about her illness. They believe they are focusing on what they want, but in truth, they are reinforcing what they lack. The law does not recognize words, it recognizes states of being. It does not hear, "I want wealth." It only senses whether you are conscious of wealth or poverty. And it will deliver accordingly. So how does one assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled? The answer is simple. Live as though it were already true. Do not wait for evidence. Create the evidence within yourself first. Close your eyes and feel the reality of your desire. If you long for success, imagine the feeling of achievement. Walk through your day with the quiet confidence of one who has already succeeded. If you desire love, assume the warmth, the security, the deep knowing that you are already loved. Let that feeling take root within you. Let it become your natural dwelling place. The world may not seem to change. It may present the same conditions as before, reflecting the states you previously held. But if you persist, if you refuse to accept the present as final, if you remain faithful to the feeling of your fulfilled desire, then the world must conform. Reality cannot resist a sustained assumption. It must, by law, take the shape of your dominant inner state. The impatient will say, "I have imagined my wish fulfilled, but nothing has happened." They do not realize that a lifetime of conditioning cannot always be undone in a single moment. The subconscious mind accepts what is repeated, what is felt deeply and consistently. A brief moment of faith is not enough. You must dwell in the state of your desire long enough for it to become natural to you. If you assume the state of being wealthy, yet the next moment worry about bills, you are undoing your own work. If you feel successful but then entertain doubt, you are pulling yourself back to the old state. You must persist until the assumption becomes dominant, until it feels more real to you than the evidence of your senses. The outer world is slow to change, but it must change. Just as a seed takes time to grow, so too does a new state of consciousness take time to bear fruit. But rest assured, it will bear fruit. Every assumption, once fully accepted, externalizes itself with mathematical certainty. What you assume to be true, you will experience. This is the forgotten key. It is not struggle, not force, not mere wishing that shapes reality. It is feeling. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Walk across that bridge. Assume it boldly, and know that the world is only echoing what you have already claimed as true within yourself. Reality is fluid, not fixed. What you have experienced in the past, what you believe to be true about yourself, and the patterns you see repeating in your life are not permanent. They are only reflections of previous states of consciousness. If you wish to change your life, you must first change your inner state. And if past experiences seem to hold you back, there is a way to dissolve them, to rewrite them, to revise them, until they no longer have power over you. The mind is not bound by time. It is as capable of changing the past as it is of shaping the future. Most people believe that what has happened is final, that past failures, disappointments, and hurts must follow them into the present. But this is an illusion. The only thing keeping the past alive is your continued acceptance of it. The moment you revise an experience, by giving it a new meaning, by changing your reaction to it, by seeing it in a new light, you alter its effect on your present and future. Suppose you have a memory of being rejected, of failing, of being treated unfairly. If you continue to dwell on that memory with the same emotions, you keep it active in your subconscious. And because the subconscious mind accepts what is impressed upon it, that old experience will continue to shape your reality, attracting similar events over and over again. But the moment you revise that memory, imagine a different outcome, feel as though it happened differently, you release its grip on you. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It only responds to what you persistently assume to be true. This is why revision is so powerful. It is not mere wishful thinking. It is the deliberate rewriting of your personal history to align with the life you desire. If you once believed yourself to be unlucky, revise every moment that reinforced that belief. If you once felt unloved, revise those moments of neglect and replace them with imagined experiences of love and acceptance. If you suffered a failure, rewrite that memory in your mind until you see yourself succeeding instead. Some may question how this can possibly work. They believe the past is set in stone. But consider this. Have you ever looked back on a memory and realized that it was different from how you originally remembered it? Have you ever spoken to someone about a shared event only to find that their recollection was entirely different from yours? The past is not as solid as it seems. It is fluid, shaped by perception. And if perception can change, so too can its influence on your present life. Revision is not about lying to yourself. It is about choosing which version of reality you wish to accept. And since the subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined, the version you impress upon it is the version that will shape your future. But revision alone is not enough. You must persist in assuming the new state, the new self, until it becomes natural to you. If you revise an experience but immediately return to old habits of thought, you will continue to recreate the past. You must replace every doubt with certainty, every hesitation with conviction. When you persist in a new assumption, it hardens into fact. This is why those who succeed in life seem to live in a different world. They do not allow past failures to define them. They do not dwell on mistakes or entertain regrets. Instead, they live as if they have always been successful, always been loved, always been capable. And because they persist in this assumption, the world conforms to their belief. It is not enough to wish for a better life. You must claim it now. You must assume it fully, feel it deeply, and refuse to accept any other reality. The past has no power over you unless you give it power. The present is always new, always fresh, always open to being reshaped. The question is not whether you can change, it is whether you will. Many will hear these words and dismiss them. They will cling to their old beliefs, to their stories of hardship and struggle. They will insist that life is difficult, that change is impossible, that the past cannot be rewritten, and so they will remain as they are. But those who dare to apply this principle, who practice revision and persist in their new assumption, will see their world shift before their eyes. Do not wait for the world to change before you feel different. Feel different first and the world will follow. The moment you assume a new state of being and persist in it, the past loses its hold on you. The future opens up to infinite possibilities, and what once seemed miraculous becomes inevitable. This is the forgotten law. It is not magic, nor is it luck. It is the simple, undeniable truth that consciousness is the only reality. Change your consciousness and you change your life. The world calls it magic, but it is only a forgotten law, one that has always been at work, shaping reality according to the assumptions held within. Nothing in life happens by chance. What you experience is not the result of luck, nor is it dictated by external forces. It is the natural outcome of the states you occupy, the beliefs you hold, and the feelings you persist in. The law is simple. Consciousness creates reality. What you assume to be true hardens into fact. The world does not reflect your wishes, but your convictions. It does not respond to fleeting desires, but to sustained states of being. Change does not come from struggle or force. It comes from a shift in awareness. The moment you embody the feeling of your desired state, fully, consistently, and without doubt, you set in motion the invisible forces that bring it into manifestation. Reality is fluid, not fixed. The past does not bind you unless you allow it. Every experience can be revised, every belief reshaped, every limitation dissolved. You are never trapped by circumstance, for the world is only a mirror, reflecting back to you what you assume to be true. If you do not like the reflection, change the assumption. Most will ignore this truth, believing life happens to them rather than through them. They will continue to struggle against conditions instead of transforming themselves from within. But those who dare to test this law, who persist in a new assumption despite appearances, will see their world shift in ways that seem miraculous to others, but are inevitable to those who understand. You are not a victim of fate. You are the creator of your reality. The law does not ask for your permission to operate. It already does. The only question is whether you will use it consciously or allow it to shape your life by default. Choose now. Assume the state of your desired life. Persist in it. And watch as the unseen becomes seen, the invisible becomes visible, and what the world once called magic is revealed as nothing more than a forgotten, yet unbreakable law.